please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log, subdates 230428.9. I get the feeling that Subfleet are sending me here on purpose. Do they know what I planned for them? Do they actually think they can stop me? Lol. Such notions do tickle me so. Welcome to the exhibition of stupid people. Today we are going to start with Erika Shafrick, as an entire article was written by The Independent about her, which led to 6 videos on her TikTok page. I thought, for the bants, let's have a little look. University student tearfully reveals she received a 0 on 6-page essay. That's quite impressive. A university student has sparked a debate about college expectations after tearfully revealing her professor gave her 0 on a 6-page philosophy essay. On the face of it, I find that impressive. I didn't know it was possible to get a 0 on something that can be argued to be, at best, debatable, subjective, up for interpretation depending on the mind operating, the usual bump that you associate with philosophy, the fake degree. What we're going to do now, instead of going to the article and continuing this, we're going to go to the videos I mentioned earlier. There are 6, because she responded to comments and then got a little bit angry, and I found that to be highly delicious, scrumptious, delectable, exquisite, sexual.
I try not to cry on the internet because it's embarrassing, but oh my god, I wrote an entire 6-page paper, and I get that the paper wasn't that good, and it was for a philosophy class, so there's so many ways that what's being said in the text can be interpreted. And so anyways, I wrote this entire paper, and all I needed was a 17% on it, or an 18% to pass the course. The professor gave me a 0.
Is this the part where I hold up some kind of sign that says, achievement unlocked? You got a 0 in a class where I would have thought it would be impossible to get a 0.
And I'm literally here thinking it's a mistake. I sent him my submission receipt and he was like, no, it's not a mistake. Here's your feedback. Literally everything just says this misrepresents what he's saying in the text, which, first of all, it can be interpreted so many different ways. Sorry I didn't cheat and use ChatGPT just like everyone else in the course probably did.
Maybe you should have cheated. You often find philosophy writing in general, actually, comes down to a lot of interpretation. Clearly the professor in this instance has a very narrow interpretation, but we haven't seen the paper, so how can we be certain of it? Now, I mentioned you have done 6 videos on this subject. Here's video number 2, responding to a comment. Have you considered that maybe this essay is unfathomable levels of dog poop?
My other reply to you got taken down, so I guess I have to be nicer. You're wrong. There's no reason why my essay warranted a 0. It wasn't that bad.
As you got a 0, and are asserting that you didn't get a 0, or it wasn't worthy of a 0, along with sounding like a really irritating Canadian Valley girl, because yes, you are that, nah, we don't believe you. But let's give you a little bit more time before we go to video number 3.
It was fine. It was 6 pages of work that took me 2 days to write that was related to the prompt. And there's just no way that it was that f***ing bad. That's all I have to say.
There are a number of issues with this. One, you seem to think that by spending more time on something, it is worth more. If that's the case, half the videos I make that take days to do would surely do better in views, because I'm entitled to that, right? Additionally, you say at the end there, that's all I have to say, but your video goes on for another minute. You are lying. The cope and salt are real, folks. Video number 3, show the essay.
So I just read through my essay again, and I honestly think I'm being gaslit into thinking it's so much worse than it is by this f***ing prof. I can promise you, probably read it and be like, okay, that deserves at least a 50. But I don't know what kind of trouble I can get in for posting it, so I need to wait until this is dealt with.
If you didn't know, she's appealing the decision. She's speaking to student associate council people. Yeah, those types. Video number 4, everyone. I get you're upset, but why are you bashing your classmates? LOL. The cope is real, by the way, and the accusations of being gaslit comes from the comment sections, not from the first video, because she turned those off. After 2.9 million views, I'm not surprised. Can I have 2.9 million views on this video? That would really be nice. Especially if monetized, I could buy like a curly whirly with that.
Honestly, this is kind of tea. This person's kind of right. I was sort of bashing my classmate. I was just really mad at the whole situation and I was projecting, so sorry. But honestly, I have heard a lot about people using ChatGPT, and like I just heard it in my social circles. I've heard it on social media. I just know that people are doing that, and it's f***ed up.
We're 4 videos in, and you're still showing signs of somebody that really desperately wants at least the point she needed to pass. But you are asserting everything. That's the problem here. Everything is asserted, and you are being remarkably catty about it. You can use buzzwords like gaslit if you like, but it doesn't change that you are still doing that, regardless of whether someone is gaslighting you. It is not an indicator that they are wrong, by the way. It's just a demonstration in, much like yourself, being a dickhead in how you handle a situation.
Lots of new friends on here. Are we just here to see how the situation turns out? Or like, do you want to see my house renovations? Barton! Do you want to meet my 4 cats? Like, what's the vibes? What are the vibes?
I'll be honest, I'm only here to find out about the conclusion to this story. Your cats are adorable, you are most certainly not. The Valley Girl accent thing you do? Yeah. Oh, this is video 5, by the way. Let's go to the final one.
Honestly, I think you guys need to understand that I am petty as and if you keep being mean to me, I will leave you hanging and I won't tell you how the situation ends. I will do that. Stop being mean.
While I won't deny there are many people on the internet that have obsessive-compulsive tendencies, I don't think you're important enough with your 3,305 followers for anyone to come back to find out how the story ends. Because the majority now, with the way you are treating them, are just going to cross their fingers, tentacles, or any limb they have that is animal, vegetable, or mineral, that you get a 0 and it stays as such. And that you learn your lesson, wannabe blonde girl. It is worth restating yet again, we do not know anything about the subject matter of the essay she submitted, or any reason for why she got a 0. Not that we are entitled to that. But to milk it for additional views is quite amusing really, because while you got 2.9 million on the first video, your most recent one got 15,000. Prior to this, your videos were garnering a little more attention, in the thousands but not many. In fact, you were averaging 300 to 500 views per TikTok. This has kind of put you on the market, and you may well in turn get more views from it, but they're not going to stick around forever. So does anyone really care? No? Why? Because they'd have to go looking for you to willingly want to watch you. It's TikTok. Valley Girl. Let's move on. So next, Just Stop Oil. I mentioned them yesterday, I'm mentioning them again today because they're back on the march. Yes, they have brought back the slow crawling through rush hour. This time, through London's West End, because they've renewed their civil disruption. They conducted a slow march, which brought traffic to essentially a crawl from 8 AM on Monday. The police, of course, are not intervening. 20 protesters protested along the Strand and across Waterloo Bridge, and they say they're going to continue doing this for as long as it takes to force the government to take a decision that acts meaningfully on climate change, because nothing reeks of helping the planet more than having cars running behind you with their engines still going. It is, for the sake of being honest, worth adding cyclists and buses were permitted to go past them. As you may have noticed from that, taxi drivers were not permitted. A taxi driver called Malcolm Silverman had said that those blocking the protesters were alienating the very people they want on their side. This protest, these renewed ones, come at the end of 4 days of climate protests that were organised by Extinction Rebellion, who themselves last year vowed to end roadblock tactics. Of course, in this instance, Just Stop Oil's tactic is a roadblock of sorts, but with the twist being a loophole that the UK government is trying to close. I firmly believe in one's right to peacefully protest, and I don't mind how long Just Stop Oil do this for, because we all know it's not going to end with them winning. They must know it as well. Additionally, I take no issue with it because they're not building support with any of the regular people. They are only getting support from the middle classes, the majority of whom have funding from family, who are looked after by the wealthy, some of whom fund Just Stop Oil made billions from the oil and gas industry, because they're not hypocrites, everyone. So next I want to talk about something that I'm not entirely sure if it's stupid or not, but it's something that on the face of it intrigued me, because I didn't realise that we, accumulated stats on this in the form of based on sexuality and earnings. The UK is going through what is called a cost of living crisis, and apparently 1 in 5 lesbians live paycheck to paycheck amid cost of living crisis. Now, that's the title, Underneath, 1 in 5 queer women in the UK is living paycheck to paycheck. Daunting new data has shown they are not the same. Metro, do try to be a little bit more careful with how you portray things. It will only end with you getting cancelled by others who are far too sensitive to these mislabelings. In a reminder of how the gender and LGBTQ+ pay caps can doubly hit lesbian, bisexual and pansexual women's salaries, more than half feel they are underpaid. Feel, you say, interesting. While more than double the number of gay and straight men are on salaries above 55k, compared to only 11% of queer women. For Lesbian Visibility Week, recruitment firm Robert Walters polled 6,000 professionals about their monthly pay stubs, job progression, and more. And on the face of this, these statistics are undoubtedly going to be highly credible, especially when it's based on feelings. Oh, it's stupid. Great. I remember the gender pay gap from many years ago, and I still have saved on my hard drive a video from Sean Head explaining the gender pay gap. In this instance, it may well be applicable to this, so I'm going to play it.
The wage gap is simply the average earnings of men and women working full-time. It does not count for different job positions, hours worked, or different jobs. It has nothing to do with the same job. It has nothing to do with discrimination.
Women!
In the report, the firm found that 55% of LGBTQ+ women do not feel their pay is a fair representation of the work they do. This is a feeling shared by 43% of queer men and 42% of straight cisgender men. When it comes to the higher end of the pay brackets, 30% of straight and 26% of GBTQ+ men cash in more than 55k per year. For queer women, just 11% could say the same. Any kind of bonus scheme is off limits for the majority of LGBTQ+ women, with only 17% benefiting from one compared to 20% of heterosexual women, 26% of gay and bisexual men, and 30% of straight men, which is almost double. You know how to count. You're dangerous. For one, mothers are especially hit hard, with mothers less likely to be hired, less likely to earn high wage, and less likely to be promoted. That's because, and this might seem somewhat novel and callous at the same time, employers are less likely to hire someone whose priorities are not on the job. They will go with the person they know will devote their time to make as much money for the business as they can. But good old-fashioned misogyny is among the biggest factors at play. Unconscious or pretty obvious biases and stereotypes hold women back in the workplace, research has shown. There's also lesbophobia going on. Oh, there's a word for this. A quarter of LGBTQ+ women say they have suffered workplace discrimination, with 11% of queer men saying the same. Even then, some queer women workers wondered what's even the point of reporting this behavior to their bosses. 1 in 5 survey takers felt no confidence in their work leaders to stand up for them. A disgruntled employee, who'd have thunk it? It's almost like they don't exist anywhere else in life, and it's only sexuality based. Something I just want to point out, earlier I had to say GTBQ+, yeah? But when it was lesbian, the G still stays. Kind of curious about that. Is this another typo issue from Metro? A misspeak, misprint thing? Queer women are also 10% less likely than their straight peers to be tapped on the shoulder for a promotion, Robert Walters found. The survey revealed how a quarter of lesbian and bisexual women feel less confident when it comes to asking for wage increases or promotions. Straight women feel this more than their straight male counterparts too, at 20% and 14% respectively. 17% of GBTQ+ men said the same, well that answers my earlier remark. By the way, queer women are 10% less likely than their straight peers. But you've also got less confidence stats here at 20%, 14%, 17%. And over half don't even bother trying to negotiate a raise. Your statistics are fascinating, I will admit. There isn't much more to the article beyond what appears to be disgruntled employee grievance, which has somehow been broken down into sexuality, and then because somehow they're slightly above everyone else, it is seen as an even bigger disparity than it really is. When in reality, when you have all the other numbers lined up with it, what you'd see is a lot of very irritated employees. Imagine my shock.